Hey everybody, Ben here, and this is something I've been thinking about doing for a while, but just have never taken the time, so wanting to do it now. Essentially, I've been thinking about taking a front-end mentor project, frontendmentor.io, and essentially, front-end mentor is a great way to find projects, challenges that you may want to take on, and this is really neat because if I come up here and look at challenges, you'll see a bunch of different options. And if you subscribe, if you pay yearly, it's about $100 a year. You get access to the Figma files or, whatever you might need. There's some starter files that you can download. And so if, people do this all the time. And Kevin Powell, who is a YouTuber that I follow and watch a lot of his videos, he's been doing a rebuild of a site from scratch with code. And I thought it would be fun to do one of these challenges, but to do it with no code. And so I chose this product feedback app. And essentially, let's flip over to the design so you can see what it looks like. This is an app where people can add items to a product roadmap, and they can add feedback, and then folks can vote for it. People can comment and all of that fun stuff. And so we need to find a way to, rebuilding this won't be very hard, but, I think one of the things that they talk about here is, your users should be able to view the ultimate layout for the app, see hover states, create, read, update, and delete product feedback requests, receive form validations, sort suggestions by most least upvotes, filter suggestions by category, add comments and replies, and upvote product feedback requests. Keep track of any changes even after refreshing the browser. Local storage can be used for this. So, this is the bonus. Is like basically there's nothing restricting a user from upvoting over and over and over for the same item. So the bonus is keep track of any changes and don't let that person vote from that same device over and over again. Another bonus is to make this a full stack application. So I'm thinking we build this and then we can definitely do this, and then maybe we also include something like MemberStack or Outseeda here and allow users to log in and only let them upvote one item regardless of whatever device they're on. So I just wanted to do this so you could see how I tackle projects. You might be pulling your hair out at my process and hoping that the video ends soon so you can do it your own way, but I'll just we'll do a series of videos here and we'll just work through it together. So I've downloaded everything, and so my first step is going to be I'm going to go into GitHub and create a new repository, because even though this is no code, I am going to make sure that I do have a place for my custom code that I'm using. And then to submit this as a challenge, I probably need to put all of my code, even like maybe a code export from Webflow in there. So let's just play around here. So we'll just say this is a product feedback app. Alright, and we'll make it public. We'll add a README, and then let's create a repository. And we're just going to go to code, and with the GitHub CLI, we're going to clone this. So let's pull up our terminal, and let's just come in here to our Git folder. And we'll pull in this this project, and so we should now on my Mac, on my documents and Git, we should be able to product feedback app is right there. So we'll go into our code editor and let's go ahead and add a folder to the workspace. We'll choose our product feedback app. And it has a README here. The project actually came with some files, so let's look at those. There are some assets which we're going to take and use. In fact, we'll just put these here, even though we'll be uploading those to Webflow. There's a data.json file, which is like some sample data for the roadmap items, and then they have all the pages, which we don't need these. They do have a README in here, and so we can just copy all of this. And let's put this in here into our README. And let's take a peek at what they have. So welcome, the challenge, which we already know what these users should be able to do. We sort of looked at this. Want some support on the challenge. They do have a Slack community. Suggest expected behavior, which we didn't really look at. Only product feedback requests with the status of suggestion should be shown on the suggestions page. Should be placed in the correct column. And so if we look at the Figma file, they do give us quite a few states. I think we looked at this, but they also gave us what the roadmap looks like. So essentially it's kind of like a Kanban board, and we see them by status. And then over here we actually have our style guide, our design system, and what we'll use. So we're going to play with this too. If something's updated, it should move through the roadmap. Creating product requests, so we'll need to have a form that people fill out, and they add it, and it gets added to the list, added to the CMS. And then building your project, separate the starter code out, configure your repository. And they're building this thinking we're going to write code, which we will write some code, but there are many ways to host your project for free. They kind of give you your options. They suggest creating your own custom README. We'll customize this as we go on. And then everything else is here. So let's get started. Let's start building and start preparing. So let's jump back over to Chrome. We do have our product feedback app repository. I'm going to go ahead and jump into pages. Deploy from a branch. We're going to choose our main branch. That's fine. And we'll save it because we might want to serve some code from this with JS Deliver later. So we're back in here. We turned on pages. And then let's jump into our Figma file. And I do have a project open here in Webflow. This is my basic starter file that I use. It's got just a few utility classes and some things that I like to use, and so we're going to start here and play with this. Before any time I'm in a project, we do have a name set up, product feedback app. We'll go ahead and give it a language code, and we don't need a password. All this stuff is good. So we'll save changes. Go into SEO. We want to disable indexing just so no one can find it while we're working on it. And then I think from here that's all we need. I'll go ahead and jump into the project here. Then let's look at our Figma file. So first things first, we do need this Google font. But in order to keep our site performant, what I want to do, looks like this is Yoast. I don't know if it's a soft J or a hard J, but we are going to need this, and so let's remove everything that's over here right now. And instead of serving this from Google Fonts, in order to keep things performant and having to load Google's JavaScript, we'll just upload this as a custom font. So it's one less thing we have to load, and then if we go into fonts, one of the things with Google Fonts is font swap. Is it available? And so we can have that with an uploaded font. So let's go ahead and download this font, and we can just kind of look and see what we need. Here's the font, bold, Yoast regular. Doesn't look like there's a ton of weights that they're using. There's no thin or extra, or is this? let's look and select this. This is regular, semi-bold, bold, bold. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll come in here and grab regular 400, 400 italic. They had semi-bold, so we'll grab semi-bold and semi-bold italic, and we'll grab bold and bold italic. And I think we are good there. We can just download all. It's going to give it to us in a zip. And so we can go ahead and open that up, and then let's select static in here. We have all of our files as TTF. So we have black, black italic, bold, bold italic, extra bold. Okay, now let's go ahead and start. We'll just actually look for the waffer. We'll change this from TTF or OTF. We'll change this to WAF file. So let's just go ahead and jump in here. Again, we needed regular and in fact, let's go through this folder and just weed out what we don't want, because it feels like we got more than we needed. We didn't need light or light italic or medium italic. We wanted semi-bold. We didn't need thin or thin italic, extra bold, extra light, or black. We can just move these to the trash. All right, now we're in a better spot. So let's come over here and just choose our fonts. I tried to drop them all over. It's not working. Let's try through file picker. All right, let's download these all as a zip. We'll get these as .waf here, and we'll want to open them up. Downloads by date added. Okay. Now we have these here, so let's jump back over to our project and let's just upload these. Let's go into our downloads. Font display swap. So bold, semi-bold, regular, italic. Okay, everything looks good, so we can just go ahead and upload all these. And now we can jump back into the designer and let's start styling. So first thing that we want to do, well, I can see I'm gonna have to refresh. Let's go ahead and reload. All right, and now that we've reloaded, if we go to body all pages, we can set our font, and so we're going to use 16 pixels as our base, and let's just look at the Figma file to make sure we're good here. So 16 pixels, they're using a line height of 23. I like to use a unitless line height, and unitless line height would be 1.5 is typically what I use. You see there's no unit set, and that's really just 1.5 the size of the font, so it'd be 24 pixels, so I'm off by a pixel, but I think I'm going to call this good enough. They also have body 2 and body 3, and we will play with those after we get our style system, the rest of our style system set up. So we have our font, and then you see we have buttons. It shows us hover, interactive elements, default, hover, active. And some of these we'll have to go through and play from an accessibility standpoint and just make sure everything has a good contrast ratio. But I think we look pretty good. Okay. So in here on the body, on body all pages we have our font set up, and we have our headings automatically pulling over, so we can actually go ahead and start working on our headings here. So they just have H1 through H4, and 24 pixels is what they have this set to. So let's go ahead and start setting this up. So H1, all H1 headings should be 1.5 rim, which feels really small. That's right though. And then 35 pixel line height. So I still think that should 1.5 unit list should work. Spacing. They even have their spacing. They've played with that a little bit. Okay. We can play with that too. Letter spacing. All right, we've got that in place. And the reason we're using rims too, if you just to clarify, is if people turn on, if they're using text zoom and they switch these, if we, hard code these as pixel values, they're not really going to change. But we want, that zoom to work, and so that's why we're using that. So heading 2 is 20 pixels, and I think that's going to be like 1.25 rim. So let's go to our H2, all H2s. This would be 0.25 rim, and then we'll keep that there, and then all H1 headings. We do have Yoast bold, that's right. Jost bold, and then all H3 headings. Same with the bold, except this is 18 pixels, which should be 1.125 rims. And we didn't look at letters, but that's negative 0.25 on letter spacing on H2. So let's go ahead and add that in, negative 0.25. And then on the H3, it's the same. All H3, negative 0.25. All right, and then for H4s, 14 pixels, which should be 0.875 rims, and a negative 0.2 spacing. So let's go H4, all H4, which we said should be 0.875 rim, and then negative 0.2. Right, is that what we said? Yeah. And it's bold, and then they didn't include H5 and H6, so we'll remove those from our... okay, and you'll see I have 2 sets of headings. I have H1, H2, H3, H4. They're actually the classes. Then I have I'm using the all headings, and sometimes you put an H2 in and you need it to look a little larger, so I like to have classes that match. With H0, I'm just going to make this 2.5 since these headings are a little bit smaller. I think looking at the designs, they don't really have anything beyond an H4 or that would need like a giant H0. But if we did create like a marketing landing page, maybe we'll do that too. We'll create a landing page that's not even the design. But I don't think we would really need that. So we're good there. So let's just change our explicit class so we can actually just pull these down, and it's an H1, so it's going to inherit. And we'll just go through here and get these in. Perfect. So now let's go to H2. 0.26. We're just uh, 2.6. Okay. And we're just trying to make all these match. And then one thing I did notice is that our headings, all H1 headings, they have this default paddings or default margins on. We'll just change these up. And this might end up changing when we get into the design, but for now, rim, okay. And then H3. One, 2, 6. We'll just bring that back down. Okay, and then H4. And then let's go down to our line height. We'll actually make this 1.5. And then 0.76. Just moving this up and down a little bit. Okay. And then italic small, that's 0.9 or 0.875 rim. And we'll leave it just like that. And this is italicized. And then I didn't really look here. They didn't do any, didn't mess with spacing here on the body font. So we have our body font set up now, and you can see everything should carry over to our buttons and to our links. We'll have to play with colors, do some work there. I do have padding and margin, so margin top 0, margin top 1, margin top 2, and margin top 3. This is my own system. We might have to modify it depending on what happens with this design, but you can see 3 is 3 rim, 2 is 2 rim, 1 is 1 rim, 0 is 0. And I have this set up for margin and padding, top, bottom, left, right. Then I have a shadow set up. We'll see if we need that, and we'll add any other utility classes that we need. You can see I originally made this when I made the Visual Dev FM site, so you can see our colors are there. But my colors are, like color primary 400, color primary 600, color neutral 100, color neutral 500. 900, secondary 400, secondary 600. And then we want to make classes for our font or for our text, follow the same pattern so that we can use that really easily. So let's keep moving here. Trying to make it through the design system first. So you can see they share these colors. And we do have 4 different button styles, and then we have these interactive elements, so, and form elements. Let's look at the buttons on the site. I do see 2 different buttons. Oh no, there's 3 and 4, so they are using all of them in the design. So this is here, yeah. Okay, and let's see what's happening here on the hover. On the good news is this isn't opacity, this is a color change. But I don't know if this is necessarily going to pass any sort of contrast test. but we'll play with this here. And you can see, obviously, there are no focus state styling, and so we'll come up with that on our own. So we'll try to make it through this entire style guide here in this first video. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. So now it just comes down to, naming convention, like what's your primary color, what's your secondary color, what's your tertiary color. And so I would I guess the way this is set primary, secondary, tertiary, and the rest of this I would see this is like a different way to the tertiary, and then like these would all be neutrals and these accents. That's what we'll go with. We already have our typography set up. We'll probably have to play with some things. And then the other thing that they have in this is pretty interesting. They're using background images for this, and I think we just make some gradients in Webflow instead of using the background. Image. I think it might be better. So let's just jump in here and start playing with colors. We'll probably have to add some blocks, so we'll just grab this color. And then so for our color primary, this is set in the background color. And then we also want to create a swatch, so we'll call it color primary, and this is our primary color, and then this is going to be our secondary color. Color, let's rename this class secondary 400. Oh, and we already have classes with this, so let's go ahead and just clear some of these. Just so we don't have them anymore. We don't have to worry about. Okay, let's clear any unused styles, clean these up. Yeah, remove those. That included our H5 and H6. Okay, and now this is color primary 600, and this would be color secondary 400. And you may hate my naming conventions. This is kind of something I normally do, and if you don't like it, feel free to name classes however you want. If this is something you're following along with, I'll make sure and share clonable to this project in the video, as long as as well as links to the GitHub repos and all that fun stuff. Okay, so color secondary 400. Let's go back over here, grab this, and come down here, and this is what we wanted to set color secondary 400 to, by the way. Let's go ahead and clean up. We'll just go ahead and remove it here. Color secondary 400. And then let's use this background color here. And then we'll add this in here, color secondary. And then let's jump over here. I would say we'll call this our color tertiary. So let's just move up. We'll do color tertiary 400. And oh, I missed something over here. And then we will add this color tertiary. And then when we have my swatches, if we do need to change anything for contrast or accessibility, it'll be global. And then I would call this like This looks to be a little lighter, so maybe color tertiary 300. And then we'll do, these others will be neutral and accent. So let's call this color tertiary. We'll say this is 300. And then give it a background color. Color tertiary 300. So darker, lighter, and then our white is just normal. So I would call this color neutral 100, color neutral 200, color neutral 100, 200, 300, 400. So let's do color neutral 100, and that is just going to be our white. So color neutral 100, and then let's see, how many do we have left here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. So we need a couple more, 3 more of these. 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then this is going to be color neutral 200. So they're neutral 200. And then by taking this approach, we can use these as global combo classes. And neutral, if I'm going to spell neutral, that'd be great. Neutral 200. And we'll create that. Color neutral 200, color neutral 200. Just trying to keep our naming consistent here. And then color neutral 300. And then let's do color neutral 300. Perfect. That's going to be great. And then this will be color neutral 400. You might say this would be tertiary 200, I guess. We'll keep it. You can go either way. You might disagree with me. I'll do color neutral 400. Because this is color neutral 300, 200, 100. We'll say this is color neutral 400. And then, as I look at it, I want to say it's tertiary. So I might change this, but okay, and then looks like the font is this 3A4, so I probably need, this is our color secondary, our color tertiary 300. I think is what we called that, color tertiary 300 right here. I think that is our font color. So if we go to body all pages, pretty sure that's the color that's being used. Yep. Okay, and so now let's add, we have 2 accent colors, which should sit here. But see, they're colors that aren't, like, this bugs me. So this would probably be more like a warning color down here on a button. It's a color that's not even used in the color section. Grr. I hate when designers do this. I'm guilty when I design things. I do this too, so I can't say anything. This really is a beautiful design. I really like it. Okay, so no judgment. Let's jump into this one, and we'll call this, let's jump up. We'll call it color accent 400. It's fine. And for the background color, oh, nope, that's the text color. We'll add this here and color accent 400. And then this will be our color accent 500. Alright, and if you're new to Webflow, color accent 500, this lets us use these as global utilities. We'll do this, we'll recreate all of these for our text colors too, our font colors, so we can apply them, and in fact this is neutral 100. So this would actually be our neutral 100 right here. And so to show what this, how this works, if you're in Webflow, I can put in a section, and I have a section class that I use by default. We'll probably have to change it. I haven't looked at what the container width is on these either, so but we'll just put some text on the page. But in here I can do color primary 400 as a background color, which burn your eyes out. Color font color font neutral 100, and then by using those styles I'm getting my colors for everything on top of there. So that's the beauty of working that way and having these available. So it takes a little bit longer, but worth the time spent in my opinion. So down here we're going to go ahead and remove classes from all of these as well. Thank God for keyboard shortcuts, so we can do this quickly. Alright, and then let's go ahead and clean up. Let's remove any unused styles so we don't have anything making life difficult. I think I have like a class on this other one of like wrap and then gap one. Okay. And then we're going to need 5 more of these. So all of our colors are here. Okay. And then let's just start all over. And so we'll say color. And then I like to use font or text, so we'll just use text. Color text, primary 400, and for our text color, we'll use our color 400. In fact, let's color primary. I didn't put colors on anything that was primary. So color primary 400. And on this one, it'd be color text, secondary 400. And we'll just use our secondary. And in fact, I don't know why I didn't put this on earlier. So now we have secondary 400. And then we can come over to this one and do color text, tertiary 400, and then it would be this one, tertiary 400. Okay, so and this is just going to tertiary 400. If I need to go lighter or darker, it gives me room like in 500, 600 up to 900, all the way down to 100 if I need to lighten or darken shades, which is how that works, and then we'll do color tertiary, color text tertiary 300. I think is what we called that. And we already have this. It's our default on our page, but this is if we need to explicitly set it. And then this would be our color text neutral 100. Oh, rename class. Color text neutral 100, and then so this is going to be our color neutral 100. So this would be color text neutral 200, and we'll just set that to our neutral 200. And then on this one, it would be color text neutral 300. Let's just find our 300 swatch. There it is. Color neutral, color text neutral 400. And color text, and I think this would be our accent. Oh, if I can spell accent, 400. And this would be accent 400 right here. And then, nope, let's go ahead and make this color text accent. Did I say 500? Is that how I did that? Yep. Okay, perfect. All right, so now we have all of our colors set up. It takes a while. We have our colors. We have our font. Now we need our buttons, interactive elements, and form elements. So let's work on buttons. And we'll just look and see how this works. In fact, we'll go back up to scale and we'll just use pixel snap here. And install the update. You get to watch me even install updates on my software. Okay. About 52 pixels tall, with 42 pixels of padding on each side. So if we're sticking with rims, it'd be like 2.625 padding left and right. 0.625 rim. 0.625 rim. And then how tall did we say that was? 52. Doing the quick math, 3.25. And really, I guess we don't have to set a height on it. And so we want our button. Let's see, and what is the font here? Weight 700, so it's our bold, which is what we have. And our color should be our color neutral 100. And I think the default is going to be this here. Then how are the corners rounded? Says the corners aren't rounded, but they sure look rounded to me. Okay, 10. Like 0.625. Rim. See how big is this font? So it's just 14, so it's actually smaller than the body font. So it would be 0.875 a rim. And we'll just change ours so it looks button 1. Okay. I think that works. We could change this to, let's see, what are we at here? Let's measure 14 pixels, 14, 15 pixels. We'll call it 15, so it'll be 0.938, or 0.938 rim. 938 rim. So we have button 1. I think that's going to work. And when it hovers, it has this color that we so we didn't include, but see, like for me, I would come back up here and add this in, and we would call this color primary. We'd duplicate the class and call it color primary, like 200 maybe, since it's pretty light, or that works. And we can copy that color. We'd put this in here, and we'd say this color primary 200. Okay. And so let's do button hover, and it would be here, and on hover it's still the same color, and I think we fell, yeah, we fell from a accessibility standpoint, but we can tackle that later. So we have button 1, button 2, and then they do have these with icons. Any interactive elements? Okay, so let's do the rest of our buttons. We'll keep button icon because we may need it. Let's copy this, throw it in here a few more times. Just move this up. So we have button 1, button 2. And so let's duplicate this class. We'll call this button 2. And we'll want the background color to be there. And then again, I would want to add another one here. C. And we'll call this duplicate class. We'll just call this color secondary 200. And we'll do the same here where we pull this color back over that we were using. Color secondary 200. Okay. Well, now that we have that, we can on button 2 go to hover. And our hover color is going to be the color secondary 200. So button 1, this would be button 2. And then button 3 and button 4. So let's go ahead and change these. Button 3, button 4, button 3. Let's just duplicate this class. Button 3. And it looks like the background for it is our tertiary color. So we'll just say tertiary 400. I think that's right. 3A4, 374. No, so it would actually be this tertiary 300. And then on hover, it's going to go to this color, which we can call tertiary 200. So let's copy this. And then duplicate this class. Color tertiary 200. And here, let's just color tertiary 200. Because it's different than this neutral. So, I mean, they look really similar, but different. We could probably just use the same, but now our color tertiary 200, so on hover, get our color tertiary 200. And all of these are going to fail from accessibility standpoint, so we'll have to play with this a little bit. We'll do that in another session. And then, of course, we get this red. So let's just come up here and grab this, copy it, and we'll call this, we'll duplicate the class. We'll call it color warning 400. Oh, I renamed the class. I want to duplicate the class. So let's duplicate the class. Color warning 400. And there it is. And we'll add this into our palette. We'll call it color warning 400. Then let's jump over here. We'll call this color warning 200. Let's go ahead and get it set. We'll just duplicate this class, color warning 200. And then we'll come in here and paste this in. Color warning 200. All right. So let's go down to our button 4 and we'll duplicate this class, call it button 4. And then background color will be color warning. And then on hover, let's give it that. All right. So we set up our colors mostly. I still think there's more we're going to have to add based on just what's being used. We set up our typography and our buttons. I didn't see any plain text links in here, so I don't know if we're really going to have to worry about that. Because it's not like there's a rich text. So we'll skip that. But while we're here, before this video is getting long, so before we call it an end, one thing we do want to do is go to the focused version, and let's work on focus. So we'll, for this, and I have this set at 0.2, that works for me. So that's focus keyboard. We'll do the same thing for focused. And for each button, we'll actually just make these colors match. Looks pretty sharp here, I think, this way. And then button 3, focused. We're just going to think about accessibility from the very start with these. Okay, none. And then here, let's go to our focused. And we'll go to focus keyboard. Alright, perfect. So now when we have our focus state, we'll have an outline, and we'll be able to see that and we'll match the color of the button. We do have our transition set. So that is, we'll just call this quits here for this video. So we did our first part of our style guide. In the next video, we'll finish these interactive elements. So we'll work on these components we're going to use. So our drop down, we'll work on these upvote buttons, and then we'll work on the form elements. And we'll also come through and tackle accessibility. I'll try to put together a plan on maybe how we can make these work a little bit better. I have some ideas already, but we'll talk through that together. And so hopefully this has been fun and helpful, and you've got some insight into how we start. So we'll do that next time, and then we'll also get our custom code rolling. So we are going to write some custom code for this, and we'll bring our assets into Webflow and really start building here. So hopefully we can finish this out, add in some custom code to get started, and then start building. So thanks for following along, and we'll catch you all next time.